we're such an incredibly, diverse panel here of different projects and change makers and people doing amazing stuff. And I get to welcome now Adam Apollo, who's an amazing brother, being part of Next Generation Leadership Ambassador at the White House and a featured speaker in multiple Nexus and other summits at the United Nations, as well as conferences and festivals around the world. Adam is a co-founder of the Unify Movement, our friends and partners in this symposium, which reaches over 100 million people each month, and two education and technology-based companies, Access Granted and Superluminal Systems. And Adam's working on some incredibly next generation technology that is going to help this global movement interact and connect and organize and going forward. Adam's also closely associated with the Holo movement and the emerging technology on that side through Core Nexus. Brother, it's great to have you with us in this symposium dedicated to awakening to humanity's sacred mission. I know you've stepped out of the Conscious Life Expo. I think is that in Denver or Boulder or wherever, but you've done that to come and be with us today, Adam. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ben. Yeah, right in the heart of Los Angeles. We're here at the LAX Hilton. And forgive me if my voice is a little gravelly today. I've been speaking pretty much nonstop all weekend on panels and in presentations. And I did the first time at one of these conferences, I did a 90-minute presentation on gamifying planetary transformation. And what I'm here to share with you all today is a little bit of that vision and what that looks like and where we are and where we can possibly go as a species. In order to do that, it's really important for us to understand the nature of the main challenges that we face. We're in a time in the world where our communication is one of the most important vehicles for us to unify, to work together, and to collaborate and coordinate. I became aware a very long time ago that large centralized corporations being the mediators of our communication could lead to great problems. And many of us have experienced this by building organizations, myself being a co-founder of Unify in 2012. Once we hit 1 million followers, Facebook cut the throttle, and overnight we went from growing thousands of followers a day to 0. And it took weeks to be able to get in touch with the organization. And what they told us is, if you'd like to continue reaching your audience, you just need to pay us $50 to $100 a day. And I realized in that very harsh wake-up call that we were dealing with a sort of mafia around communications. And this is extraordinarily difficult, especially as we've come into a period of time where we realize that most of our global communications is dominated by social media communication. And so we're inside of that filter. And of course, many of us experienced that during COVID and witnessing the kinds of information that was essentially being blocked from the public in different ways, simply because one organization or another decided that they were going to be the police around what is truth. Now, that social media issue is only one of a sort of multi-tiered problem that I see. And the other two facets of that problem have to do with how we economically share and grow and drive our economy, which for the most part is one-sided around the idea that we got to make a bunch of money so that we can have more stuff and we can live greater lives. But most people really deeply want to give to charity. They want to be able to support things that need them in the world. But the average person that I talk with does not have the extra money to be able to give money to a charity. They don't feel like they're empowered in that way. And most of the charities that they know of in the world feel like gigantic black boxes where their money is just going to get thrown in a hole, and they have no idea what happens to it. They have no picture of how they can actually make a change by supporting these things. And so I've been looking at what are the underlying psychological and philosophical drivers inside of people that essentially we could leverage to create change in a more profound way and get everybody involved, get everybody on board. It's hard for people to even donate a little time to go, spend on World Water Day or the International Day of Peace. I've seen people struggle with the idea that they have to sit and meditate for just 10 minutes to be a part of a Unify thing. And what I've looked at is how can we gamify the process of people's involvement in such a way that begins to truly drive and anchor ongoing and building community support for these kinds of efforts. So I'm going to screen share for just a little bit to kind of give you guys a few visual elements of this story and some of the natural movement that's happening and how we can back that movement, how we can back that transformation that's already occurring here on Earth. So jumping in here, I like to start with this idea that it's possible for us to take the technological developments that we've made and use the new kinds of technologies, visualization systems, and amazing rendering and abilities that are being unlocked by technology to create a gamified journey of planetary stewardship for the people that would intensively enhance and rapidly develop our ability to actually see what's going on the planet and make a difference around it. Now, of course, there's a whole movement that's happening already right now, which is that we have all these people in the public essentially shifting from a position where they're stuck in a 9-to-5 corporate industrial slave job, and they're wanting to work freely. They're wanting to freelance. They're wanting to be anywhere and do anything. They're wanting to actually express themselves more deeply than as an individual who's part of some corporation or some business. And that movement is massive. Forbes, Harvard Business Review, New York Times, Business Insider, all of them are saying that the 9-to-5 job is dead over the last few years. And when we start to look at what that creative world looks like, it's people teaching each other courses, coaching each other, doing design and artwork for each other, creating music and sounds, photography, development services. And the markets behind this kind of creator sharing is not small. We're literally talking about over $1 trillion a year of people exchanging knowledge, art, tools, and multimedia. It's absolutely massive. And some of the biggest parts of that are essentially people sharing in arts and design and entertainment. And there's over 435 million people known right now globally that participate in this gig economy. And one of the biggest groups of these is the millennials and younger. So essentially you have millennials that don't only just want to be creative and leading their world through creative work, they want to be out everywhere in the world doing it. They want to travel to do it. They want to go somewhere, take on a mission, experience life in a beautiful way. And what are millennials also into? Well, they're into gaming. Only inside a game can you be a hero of 1,000 stories and be a Spartan and be a king and be a commander and do all of that kind of thing in an afternoon. And these are ways that people are shaping themselves to be more, even if they're just experiencing that little bit more through some kind of virtual adventure or jumping into a super realistic, motorcycle game where they get the thrill of driving around and flying around. And these kinds of technology are becoming more and more advanced. But it's important to recognize that this gaming market is also bigger than all of the box office movies and all of the recorded music in the world combined. It's like we think of the movie industry as huge. It's a fraction of the size of the gaming industry. And one of the reasons why gaming is so powerful is that it leverages rewards, social trade, and builds social connection. So from these pieces, we started to see the essence of what this new kind of system can look like. And we call it Core Nexus. And essentially, it's a social dashboard where you could create a post just like you would on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, but you can also sequence that post into a whole package that becomes a course, episodic content, episodic media, or episodic music. And the way the system works is it lets you sell these kinds of digital products and automatically split income to friends, sharing royalties with people that you co-create with, as well as share 1% up to 100% into whatever area of impact you care about. And that's really the key piece here. But first, I'm going to show you a little bit of the interface. We go way beyond the idea of the flat screen of Facebook, and we say that people are stars and their worlds are planets around them with content. We focalize the social system around a dashboard that empowers people to take on missions in different areas of the world, to take free training, to gamify their growth and development through the platform. And we track missions in the world where people can actually go, participate, get involved, do something like a tree planting or a river cleanup, and get paid for it and earn badges from it. And when I say impact funds and impact missions, I'm not just talking about one area or another. I'm talking about 18 sectors integrating Barbara Marx Hubbard's 12-sector model, the SDG model, Vincent Arena's models, and others. And changing this sense of what makes someone important or popular from how many followers you have to how much impact you're actually making in the world. And being enough like a game so that the kids can feel like, oh my gosh, it's so awesome. I'm going to go clean up 10 rivers just because I'm going to then earn an Aquaman suit for my virtual avatar. There are many ways to gamify that kind of change. And it's important that right now we start changing the way that people think about success and they think about honor in terms of what makes them popular. And, you know, right now it's all dopamine hits from likes and followers. And what we're really talking about in terms of a transition is moving to metrics being about how much regenerative impact you're actually creating. So here's the big picture, and I'll wrap it up for you. You have a massive international campaign like we do with Unify or Unity Earth throughout the year. And as we do these campaigns, imagine people creating courses, arts, music, and et cetera to support that campaign. Then sharing that income with the community that's creating these events, as well as their collaborators, and also sharing income with an impact fund. And then the seller and the buyer both earn impact points. Now, that impact fund money doesn't just sit there. Instead, another user comes in, creates a mission like a river cleanup, a bounty gets attached to that. And now you have people joining in the social network to participate in that mission, going out by the river in the real world, having real social connection. Wow, wouldn't that be a concept? And taking some selfies, having a moment, having fun with each other. And then when that uploads, we've literally verified that impact has actually happened. And those people can earn badges, points, and money. And that's just such a huge deal right now. And we've been nominated for the Earthshot Prize last year in 2023. We just got notice that we got nominated this year in 2024. You know, we have a lot of amazing partners. I'll jump out of this because I think I'm over time. I couldn't see the clock, forgive me. And I just thank you all so much for the opportunity to be here and share. I really believe we're in a time where we have the power to actually gamify the masses and turn the tide for the youth and the next generations towards becoming superheroes who actually are making a difference in the world as their job, as their vocation. Instead of TaskRabbit, Uber, and Lyft, right? We can do this together. And I believe it just takes a little bit of the integrating of systems around the kind of philosophies that we've been discussing. So thank you all so much for your time. Aloha kea kua, blessed be, in Lakesh, Wopila. Thank you,
Brother Adam. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. So inspiring, you know, and exciting to see what is, you know, coming down with Core Nexus and the work you do. I love the reframes and all the reframes you've put into that to design that really from the ground up to have a healthy impact. And thank you for, you know, jumping into this session today out of the Conscious Life Expo.